The Ravens-Steelers games is one of those that you circle on your calendar before the season even starts. This season in particular though, that circle will become larger and more refined as every week passed. I started recording this video before the Steelers-Dallas game, so I don't know what happened on the weekend. I don't know who'd be betting against the Steelers for that matchup though, and the 14-point spread agrees with that. Because of that, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that based on the rest of their matchups, the Steelers are definitely on track for a 16-0 season, or they're looking to lose an absolute maximum of 1 or 2 games, barring any serious injuries. I think the Ravens are still searching for an identity. They're 5-1 going into this game, and are headed comfortably for a playoff spot, so there definitely isn't anyone pushing the panic button right now. But we're watching a Lamar Jackson that isn't anywhere near last year's MVP standard, and the match against Kansas City earlier in the season proved that he's not yet ready to sit comfortably with the current elite quarterbacks in the game. They are strengthening though. The Yannick Ngakoue trade is a great one, especially for relatively small amount they had to give up, and we should definitely be looking to see Dez Bryant suit up later on in the season when he's match ready. The play we're going to look at is this one. Jackson flings this 39-yard pass down the middle of the field for a wide open Devin Duvernay into what initially appears to be a very conservative coverage from the Steelers. There was a lot of interesting and quite questionable actions happening during this play that we observe when we break it down further. Let's run the film. This is the first play of the fourth quarter with the Steelers up 21-17 and it's 3rd and 14. On the offensive side of the field, the Ravens are in a shotgun trips weak formation, called weak because the running back Gus Edwards is lined up on the weaker side of the field protection wise. The other eligible receiver on the weak side of the field is Miles Boykin. On the strong side we've got Mark Andrews in the tight end here, Devin Duvernay who's going to take the catch lined up here, and Marquise Brown outside wide. Because it's 3rd and 14, we'd expect the Ravens to run a series of deep routes, and we get exactly that. With a form of 4 verticals, we're going to see Miles Boykin run a deep corner and Mark Andrews run a kind of soft post. Duvernay runs a double move. He looks like he's running a move similar to Andrews and then is going to cut back outside the outside shoulder of this defensive back. Marquise Brown is running a go route, but he cuts in slightly when he realizes he isn't getting past the cornerback. The Steelers are running what looks like a cover 3 cloud flat out of a dime package, which means they have 6 DBs on the field. To describe the guys off the line of scrimmage, we've got Cameron Sutton who's going to spread to the weak flats. Marcus Allen, the only actual linebacker, is going to head back about 10 yards deep. Terrell Edmonds is going to track 5 yards back so that he's level with Allen in the middle of the field, while Steven Nelson is going to cover the strong side flats. The 3 deep safeties are Joe Hayden, Minkah Fitzpatrick and Justin Lane, each of which we're going to see head for their respective zones. As we run the play, we know to an extent what to expect from both sides. The Steelers are playing a conservative coverage, and the Ravens need a pretty substantial pass to make this down. I looked at a lot of different things in this play. Typically 4 verticals is one of the best you can run against cover 3, because it matches 3 deep defensive backs against 4 receivers. It's Mark Andrews here that lands up dragging Minkah Fitzpatrick forward because he realizes that Marcus Allen is not going to be able to cover him, and it's this separation that gives Lamar Jackson a free shot at Devin Duvernay. But from a defensive perspective, with so many guys deep and the Steelers running a dime package, which means they have the guys on the field to track the quick receivers, this is not a pass that they should allow to happen. As we roll the film, there's a specific freeze frame that I want to show you that looks interesting. Right here, after the DBs and Marcus Allen have all headed back into their respective zones, look at how they're facing. Every single defensive player here is looking straight back at Lamar Jackson. Not a single guy is looking to cover a man that enters their respective zone. And you look at every single receiver just freely running from zone to zone without a huge amount of coverage. It's almost as if they're trying to bait Jackson into running this. We know Jackson is trigger happy when it comes to rushing, and the jury's still out on the quality of his arm, and it looks like that's what the DBs are trying to bait here. They know that they can shut down the play if Jackson runs, and will get the ball back as it's going to 4th down. I also want you to look at one more thing. Look at the 4 defensive linemen as soon as this play starts. We're going to see each man take a couple of steps forward and then head straight to the outside shoulders of the respective offensive linemen. It looks like they're trying to create space in front of the quarterback initially, before eventually circling around to plug this gap. I think this is just another way to try and create this image of an attractive run play for Lamar Jackson. When you look at this from the back angle, we see this even more clearly. There's a huge space in front of the quarterback, designed to force him into running, especially when he sees such a packed deep backfield. That's my summary of this play. Deep coverage and a split in pressure from the line to create a large space in front of the quarterback and hope that he'll take the bait and run. The lack of attention to any of the receivers in this play lands up being the Steelers' undoing though, as Jackson finds his man for a huge 39-yard gain. It's worth noting though, even in this case, it's still not a perfect throw, because if it's ahead of the receiving man, it's a guaranteed touchdown. I think the general consensus is still right, in that Jackson is still not an elite passing quarterback. But as long as he continues to put himself in these situations and make the correct decisions, he's only going to get better. Thanks for watching this week's episode of Back to the Board. If you enjoyed the content, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Stay tuned for our episode next week.